Brighter future of by one go to the Games and International. We also have Chile losing to Masterclass. Oh my goodness, on the pass, another infringement spotted by the referee. A foul from Isaac Capita there on the defender of, yes, Aliko. Whenever you get to watch City, you watch your teams that dance over and play out from the back. That's what a future very fresh are trying to do. Play out from the back. You know what it goes. Defenders these days, you have to know how to play out from the back. Top playing defenders have done in abundance. So let's and the ball is still there. Opportunity future going to. Yes, very fresh. But I can tell you again, Masterclass leading by one goal to the against Chile. The already a good player at the other venue. 3 games going down simultaneously. Right on the final day of the season, the rising star football league. The project put together. And Mr. Falikana is the project coordinator. He's wonderfully well. Yes, for the youth of the project. Alright, yes, thank you very much. Here I go, let's at the Barrow Stadium. 15-minute play between the two sides here. Yes, at the Barrow Stadium. Like I said, 3 games going down simultaneously. Bright Future versus FC International. It's also Drillers at the other venue. That one is being played in Lugo. The Premier Academy Stadium and New South Theatre in Lugo right there. It's very there, unlike the one happening at the team Masterclass and Chidex. Yes. Alright, I think to play.
Hello and welcome to 360 Sports on Trust TV. I am Emmanuel Fashimi. We've got a whole lot on the program this morning, and we'll be looking at some interesting Nigerian sporting stories, and then we'll look at other stories coming in from Europe. Yes, we'll normally begin from Nigerian stories, and we just have to talk about it. And this time around, we're starting from a sport that is not that too popular here in Nigeria and probably on the continent of Africa, but Nigeria in the sub-Saharan region is now getting recognized. It's now becoming a household name when it comes to this particular sport that we're going to talk about right now. I'm talking about fencing. You might be asking, what is fencing? It's an interesting game, but the news is Nigerian Fencing Federation secures 40 million naira equipment for EP World Cup. Yes, Nigeria will be hosting the World Cup come December this year, and the federation secure an equipment that is the aluminium. As you can see on the screen, that thing that looks like a rod. It's made up of aluminium, and the equipment, it's a costly one. But for those, the way Nigerian is actually doing, going in the sports, how we are at least gaining the popularity when it comes to fencing. It was a good one for us, for the federation, securing this 40 million naira equipment in preparation for the EP World Cup that will happen here in Nigeria. And the federation president is actually happy. Like I said, a donation. It was a donation of the aluminium, 5 of that particular object. You're seeing the fighters holding, the fencers. They are called fencers, not fighters. They are called fencers. What they are holding, it's aluminium, 5 of it, and that aluminium is called pistis. It's called pistis, not pistol. It's called pistis. About 5 feet. A US-based company who manufactures this particular equipment donated it to the Nigerian Fencing Federation. So the 2024 Junior Men's World Cup, the EP World Cup, will happen here in Nigeria, and December is the precise month where the EP World Cup would happen. I have Dan Amasinga joining me on the show this morning for us to look at this and other stories on 360 Sports. Okay, when he's ready, he'll be joining us all the way from Mina. But for the EP World Cup, the fencing EP World Cup, it is a junior category, and it's a good one that we are having. We are getting this recognition all over the world. In the sub-Saharan Africa, Nigerian is gaining popularity when it comes to fencing. So these are kind of games where you win medals, individual medals. This kind of game gives you more than 1, 2, 3, 4 medals, but a team sports actually gives you just one medal. So if we all our sporting federations can at least channel all the resources, their energy to see that yes, we'll do well in some of these individual sports. We can go to the Olympics, get 2, 3, 4 medals in some of these individual sports. But when we put all our strength, all our energy on the team sport, like I said, gives you just one medal. So if you get one medal from a team sport and you can get 2, 3 medals from individual sport, why don't we just put at least look inward to all these individual sports? All right, have Dan Amasinha. Okay, if he's ready, he will be joining us on the show. Like I said, we just have to channel our energy. We shouldn't just put all our baskets, all our eggs in one basket. We should also look at some of these individual sports, and I love what is happening with the fencing federation, and that sport definitely will gain momentum in time to come, just like what we are seeing what the cricket federation is doing and how we are growing in cricket, and our junior women is doing well right there in Rwanda, where the under-19 ICC Cricket Women's World Cup is ongoing. All right, I have Dan joining on the show this morning. Dan, welcome to 360 Sports on Trust TV.
All right, good morning, and thanks for having me on the show this morning.
Okay, quickly,
great.
the fencing federation, I think is a happy mood for that federation after receiving 5 of those pisties you saw on the screen. It's called pisties, and it's for the juniors men's EP World Cup that will happen here in Nigeria by December. A company at least donated it to the Nigerian Fencing Federation, 5 of it.
I sincerely hope that this should be the beginning of a fencing game in Nigeria. Those pistons we are talking about are actually very, very expensive to procure. But more importantly, when we see individuals and corporate bodies coming to sport development, such sports will actually gradually begin to develop. And I think you rightly put it in perspective when you say that we should be encouraging individual sports just at the expense of team events. Because when we have more team getting more medals when we participate in major international events is higher. So I think it's a welcome development. More importantly, what I want to really advise is that the fencing federation should be able to look outside the scope of government funding to embrace corporate funding. That is the only way to grow the sport. Most Nigerians do not even know what fencing is all about. So I think the first of all, they must try to popularize the game at the grassroots, go back to the secondary school level, then to the state level, and maybe to the federal capital level, where they can be able to popularize the game. So let more and more people embrace the game. When they embrace the game, automatically more Nigerians will be able to say, okay, this is another sport that we can be able to, because every sport has a way of earning resources for the participants or the athletes. So I strongly believe that this kind of opportunities, if you to the athletes to really participate, there are so many Nigerians that want to participate in one sport or the other, but sometimes we don't have the opportunity to really know which sport to go into. So I think this is an opportunity now. So the Fencing Federation, first and foremost, must try as much as possible to create the enabling environment and awareness. And I think you are doing just right by bringing it to the fore. Not many television stations will be talking about fencing at this point. But for the fact that you are doing this now, it's an opportunity for Nigerians to know that fencing is here, and most Nigerians who want to be able to. I mean, somebody will be looking at it, okay, that game that you look as if you are going for fumigation of a lot of Nigerians will be looking at this. Is this a sport? But again, you need to teach people what it is. So let me stop at that point.
Okay, we need to teach people what it is. Defensive Federation. That is, they are also the short form is NFF, Nigerian Fencing Federation. So it's not the Nigerian Football Federation this time around. They just share the same abbreviation, but it's a good one. Corporate bodies, we just need to make these sports, popularize these sports in the country, and we can take it up from there. And the good thing about the fencing is you can start it from a very tender age. We just saw our own 11-year-old were winning a silver for the very first time. We're winning a medal in this particular sport, and just 5 years ago, fencing started gaining that momentum in Nigeria, and now we are winning our first medal, silver medal in the junior category event.
Yeah, think I think these are the opportunities we'll keep on clamoring for, because when you give the people the opportunity to start from the grassroots, let it be a bottom top of. When we start from the bottom and we begin to see it from the bottom, then we begin to say, okay, this game is not yet popular in Nigeria. When we start from the bottom, then gradually we begin to build it up. And it comes to a point where we have to say, okay, we now get national athletes. But again, as it is now, I don't think many Nigerians, in fact, outside the major cities in Nigeria, are even aware of this sport. No, but I mean, even if you ask some journalists, they will how is the scoring of this game. So this is why we need to really start from the basis of the game. And when we do that, now that we're having an international event, we should be able to now bring it very close to Nigerians to say, okay, this is what it is you need to benefit from. These are the kind of things we need to really, in fact, incorporate the youth into it in such a way that they'll be able to buy into it. If you don't allow the youth to buy into it and you make it an holistic event whereby you just go to some select elite schools and just pick athletes, then it will not be popular. Go to the public schools, go to where the people are, and ensure that you sell this game to them.
Yes, of course, go to public schools, go back to the grassroots, and make sure this game is being sold to the students and the pupils of the primary school, nursery, and let them at least have idea of it. The scoring point for this is that there is a chip connected to that piste, and also the fencer. There is a chip they connect, and that is how there is a scoring board, and when it scores, the board will automatically shows the score, just like how you have it in taekwondo. So but it's a little bit different from that of taekwondo because there are chips on that piste, so it shows the scores. When you get the right scores, it will just appear on the board. All right, moving away from fencing, let's go to the Super Eagles. Now, one Nigerian player, Anthony Uja, who has not really had much appearances for the Super Eagles, is advising that coach Austin Ugwevon should be allowed to continue with the Super Eagles job. He should be left as this, at least he supports Ugwevon to be substantive coach of the Super Eagles. Dan, I know we have seen Ugwevon over the years, not just what he did in our last two games, but he was there. We've seen him coach the Super Eagles before now. But Anthony Uja, like I said, he hasn't played much for the Super Eagles. He supported that, yes, Coach Austin Ugwevon should continue as the Super Eagles coach. Can you hear me, Dan?
No, okay, now I can get you now. I can hear you.
Okay, like I said Anthony Uja is supporting Austin Ugwevon to continue as the Super Eagles coach.
Well, I'm not surprised this call is coming up at this point because, like I said some time ago, Nigerians will always have this mentality that once a man does one or two things, he get carried away by the flash of the pan. I really don't want to see, because it's quite a hasty decision to take, because we've seen Austin Obama. This is not the first coming to the Super Eagle. This is not the second coming. This is not the third coming. He has been there over and over again. But more importantly, we should always this it's not everything that you see that is good. Also, Neguavon has a in the Nigerian football family, which is the technical director of the NFL. And he has always been there, and he has been doing that Giving this opportunity as an interim coach to the national team, he has won one game and lost. I mean, okay, drew one game, win one game, or he won one game and drew. And I'm sure there is this clamor, probably because as it still stands right now, many people believe that none of these foreigner wants to touch the Nigerian job with a long pole. So many people believe that okay, this is the only option that is left. Why don't we engage him? I think maybe if from that premise, fine. But to say that ideally he should be the one to take over the Super Eagles job, I don't think is the right thing. But like it stands now, we have no option, but we have to stick with him for the meantime. But I think we still have need to get a substantive technical advisor or manager for the team going forward. But for a player to be saying that, okay, maybe he's looking at it that way, under this coach, maybe I might look my way and maybe give me an opportunity. So there is absolutely nothing wrong. It's not the only one making the call. There are even so many Nigerians who are actually going out of their way to say that since the whites are refusing to come in, why don't we use what is available? So maybe on that basis. But if you ask me my personal opinion, I think it's too hasty to conclude that for now.
Okay, it's too hasty to conclude in that aspect. Let's see if NFF would definitely listen to the calls of some Nigerians and other players who want Coach Austin Ugavon as the substantive coach of the Super Eagles. All right, let's leave that story and talk MPFL. This time around, the news, it was it broke out, and fans, as it stands, sometimes ago we know that business mogul, Nigerian rich African rich businessman, who's from this country, Aliko Dangote, sometimes ago wanted to become part of Arsenal, and now fans are advising that instead of Dangote to invest in Arsenal, why not just pick any club in the Nigerian Premier Football League and invest instead of EPL, that is Arsenal, who plays in the English Premier League in England. I think it's a good call from fans telling Aliko Dangote, do this instead of going abroad.
Don't buy into that, actually. This is business we're talking about here. We're not talking about charity. Well, he has a lot of businesses running in Nigeria. He can as well allow some of his business brands to sponsor one or two teams in Nigeria by way of marketing and stuff like that. But buying up a club, it does not really go the way they are assuming, because maybe because it's from Nigeria, he must now begin to pump money into Nigeria. Of course, we have a precedent to fall back to. We have Leventus United. Where is Leventus today? Where is Abiola Babe today? Where is Wayo National today? So big moguls in Nigeria have actually gone into Nigerian football. And what do they have to show for it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because the atmosphere or the environment is not conducive for that kind of investment. And the question I should be asking those fans who are actually, like this GH where we have young men and women who actually mostly do not have the background of what has happened before now. Even the EPL clubs they are supporting mostly, are they owned by the Englishmen? They are not owned by Englishmen. These people who are owning most of these English clubs are people who are from countries who have football leagues as well. Why are they not buying clubs in their clubs and turning around the club side in their nations? They do this because they come to the English or to some of the established European leagues, invest their money because that is return for investment. This is business. So people should not look at it as if it's a charity. Of course, you can support Nigerian football in other ways, not necessarily by buying a club, because those who have done so before him, what do they have to show for it? I let somebody tell me where Abiola Baby is today. Has it become an institution? Was it a brand that was not set? It was one of the hottest properties then, or one of the hottest clubs then. But where is it today? But if you buy Arsenal, Arsenal is as old as Nigeria as a nation. So what are we talking about? So people should just not be carried away by the sentiment and emotions of issues. Because the reality, this is money we are talking about here. We are talking about money. And if he buys, the owners of Manchester City, don't they have club sites in their country? They should have bought those clubs in their country, turn it around. If it is as simple as that, no. You take your money to where there will be return on investment. Simple.
Yes, okay. You take your money to
I'm
where
not a
there will be
spokesman for
return.
that, but that is the truth.
Okay.
But I guess if actually was interested, I think it was the right thing he was doing.
Okay. Now, if we look at it, I believe why maybe some are not looking at it in the way of sentiment. Some are looking at in this aspect. Maybe they want to see improvement in the Nigerian Premier Football League, and we cannot take that way. If we look at last season to this season, we had a massive improvement in the Nigerian Premier League outside maybe the business wise, but competitiveness, I think it has been okay, it has been good. And we saw just this weekend 4 away wins in the Nigerian Premier Football League. I think maybe this is what people, signs of good things to come, and that is why they are advising Aliko Dangote instead of going to EPL. Why not just look for a club in Nigeria? But let's look at this. I think we have some maybe good clubs. If he decides to pick any of the club in Nigeria, I think we have some good one he can do business with.
Well, it's not a question about doing business in a Nigerian club. The problem actually is systematic. It's parallels the foundation upon the league itself. That is where the problem lies. Now, let me ask the question. If Ifeanyi ran one of the most successful club football in Nigeria, where is Ifeanyi Football Club today? Yeah, may so rest in peace now. But then the question is, there is no enabling environment for you to invest in Nigeria and recoup your investment, especially in sports. So the question is not about there are good football clubs or not. Remo Stars, you are seeing, has a model, and he's doing so because he knows what he's doing. By the way, he has a club outside the country that is running. Now, this club is running in Nigeria. It's like a feeder to that foreign club, and he's doing massive business. He has a clear-cut business, not a businessman that has his hands full like Dangote, that you'll be expecting him to be running his other businesses and will pay very little attention to football. And if he pays little attention to football, knowing fully well the Nigerian football environment, whoever who is appointed to run the affairs of that club might just end up ruining his business. That is just the truth. Let's not run away from this fact. We are patriotic. We should be encouraging Dangote to invest more on the Super Eagles, Falcons, and other national teams. He can as well, even, in fact, at some point, I discovered that Kano Pillars were branded by some of his companies. So these are the areas people should be. Let them approach Dangote, and the club side should approach Dangote and say, okay, we want sponsorship in this area, we want sponsorship in that area. And if he feels that he wants to support, that is other areas he can open up to support. It's not necessarily by owning a club in Nigeria. It does not work that way. It works for some who tried it and they got their fingers burnt. I've named names now. I'm not just saying something in the abstract. I'm telling you, Abiola Babes, Iwayu National, Leventis, New Nigerian Banks, ACBN, all these are clubs that some of us met in this country. Where are they today? Are they not institutional? Some of them were backed by multi-billionaires. Where are they? If environment is not right for such football business, how will you be competing with the club side that is being run by state government? Out of the Nigerian Premier League football club, how many are privately owned? Each one that is privately owned. The likes of MFM, they came and we saw what happened to them. They were muzzled out of the system. Gabros were muzzled out of the system. So how do you come and begin to invest in that kind of environment? There was a story, I'm sure it has gone viral over time, when Abiola Babe was actually still on stream, that they went to play continental football. In fact, the Nigerian Football Association, as it was then known, refused to give them the maximum support. They have to literally carry the whole. In fact, they carry the whole team on his head. How many people wants to do that? Do you think Dangote has the time to be doing that? So, but if he's running a club in Europe, all he needs to get is the right managers, and they'll run the club for him. He'll be waiting. I mean, I don't want to go into detail. Even our sitting president has shares in Manchester United. Doesn't even know how the club is being run. He doesn't need to know. But something is being wrong because the atmosphere is right. That's what we're talking about. Create the enabling environment before we begin to clamor for Dangote buying a club in Nigeria.
Okay, create the enabling environment, and that's what it is. All right, let's leave that story and move ahead. This time around, we're still talking MPFL, but it is a rescheduled game between Enyimba International FC after their beautiful outing against 12 Filanti of Burkina Faso in the CAF Confederations Cup. That is the first round, and they have qualified for the group stages. I was still expecting that draw, but they have a rescheduled game with Lobby Stars of Makurdi today at the Aba International Stadium right there in Aba. It's going to be a big game. Dan, Enyimba will also want to test their might against Lobby Stars, who lost to Rivers United in match day 3.
Okay, I think maybe on this note, a lighter note, I should be inviting you to me one of these days. Now that we're having our team back to town and we are at least having the opportunity to savor the beauty of the weekends with mouth-watering encounters.
Of course.
Eimba, I want to believe that Eimba will always remain Eimba, and Dominic Ayofa has left Lobby Stars, and Lobby Stars is still on transition right now. And with Kanu Waka as the chairman of Eimba, Eimba has proven the point, even though they got through the group stages through what we call game of lottery, through penalty shootouts. But be that as it may, they are already in the Confederation Cup group stage and taking on Lobby Star that lost at home. And I think it's going to be a very interesting encounter because Lobby Star want to redeem their image, and Eimba equally want to really prove a point by saying that our win in the continent is not a fluke. So I think football fans in Aba will have really something to cheer about. My prayer is that what was started seeing in the league, let it continue. And like I keep on telling people right here in Mina, the era of win at all costs at home is gone. And everybody should be expecting whatever come out of it, take it that way and go back home that day rejoicing that at least you've watched a very good football encounter. Not necessarily that because your team is playing at home now you must win at all costs. I mean, that era is going. So Imba must take this match very seriously because Rivers United is already making a spirited effort to say that they want to prove a point with Finidi George.
Yeah.
And so the league is going to be very hot this season. And we hope that the men in black will allow the things to flow as they have started. Because if they continue in this way, they started, I want to believe that the league will have tremendous improvement. We will record a tremendous improvement this season.
Yes, we recorded tremendous improvement. Just match day 3, 4 away wins, and there was no home wins. A lot of the game we saw Remo Stars going to the Sanya Abacha Stadium to beat Kano Pillars 2-0. Despite that game, they played almost 12 minutes extra time in that game, and Remo Stars was able to come away with that win. And also Rivers United pipped Lobby Stars at home 1-0 away. So big games. We saw Niger Tornadoes also beating Plateau United at home. So 4 away wins in match day 3 in the Nigerian Premier Football League. All right, let's quickly switch to Europe and we'll go straight to La Liga. Yes, there were games in La Liga. We'll look at those results, but the good news is we continue to look at Nigerian players in La Liga. Chidera Juke, the man who plays alongside Kelechi Iheanacho for Sevilla, getting his first goal for that team. He gave his team all 3 points in that particular game at the Sanchez Pizjuan Stadium in Spain. Dan, quickly, for Chidera Juke, fantastic young man, quick feet, is so good. That goal was something else, taking on the defenders before slotting in that goal. Perfect solo from him and getting his first goal, first La Liga goal for Sevilla, where they got all 3 points. That's for Chidera Ejuke.
Okay, I want to say that the young man has actually been a wonderful player, but even though he has not actually really lived up to the billings and the national colors of Nigeria, but then he has an opportunity to showcase his talent in Europe, and I think that was what is expected of a player of his status, because we do know that we have the players. We keep on saying it over and over again. Nigerian players are shining like a million stars all over the continent of Europe. And I want to believe that this is just the beginning and the starting point for him. Let's see more of him week in, week out. The league is just starting. I want to see more of Nigerian players establishing their presence, especially in the Bundesliga, La Liga, and of course the Serie A, where we have very few Nigerians this time around because Oshima is no more there. And of course, Victor Boniface actually still flying the flag of Nigeria quite high there. I want to see what is going to happen in the EPL, where we are seeing some very solid performance by Ewobi and of course Ndidi actually in that league. I want to see Ejike actually replicating this because I just want him to really keep on being consistent, because
because we actually need Chidera Juke back in the Super Eagles. Alongside, he plays in the same team with Kelechi Iheanacho for Sevilla, and if these guys comes good, definitely Super Eagles will have maybe any coach coming in from the Super Eagles will have that headache of team selection. Let's quickly look at the full results of the games that were played already. You know that Sevilla won their game, and also they say the man is ready, and he's outside being ready. They say yes, this is the Kylian Mbappe they saw in PSG. All right, let's look at the results. Sevilla beat Real Valladolid 2-1. They left it late. Chidera Juke 85th minute goal, giving them that win after coming in from the bench. Valencia and Osasuna ended on a goalless draw, and for Real Madrid, it ended 3-2 against Deportivo Alaves at the Santiago Bernabeu. And for Kylian Mbappe, it was a fantastic one, getting on the score sheet in that particular game. They say, yes, this is what we want to see with Kylian Mbappe getting the goals for Real Madrid. That was why they splashed that money on him, and that is why they got him. They recruited him to join the Galacticos. Yes, all the world best players have played in that team, exception of Lionel Messi, Rivaldo of Brazil, if you remember him, and a couple of others who were world players then that didn't play for Madrid. But if you want to, bulk of the world players that you ever know have done that color, that white jersey for Real Madrid, and that is why they are called the Galacticos. All right, we'll go on a quick break, and we'll be right back with more stories coming in from Europe.
Alright, 2 minutes played already right here at the Barry Stadium now. The game between Benfica and their team, and I need a full 3 points today to guarantee the passage into the Super 4. Already like I said, 3 minutes on the board in the game between Benfica and my future guarantee. Which will be goalless. Alright. Okay, let's return to the team in blue. We're down into the box. Already the very first team are looking very sharp in the first 5 minutes of this game. A really rhythm of the penetration. This match game, the final day of the August was the Nigerian Football League. Starting the mission already between the street side. I should look forward to what comes out to be a game where our future guarantee already know their fate. The Benfica, it's all about who their best. It's now or never. The team in blue. I like the interception by the Benfica team. But they look very sharp, like I said. Just number 17, think about being clinical. That's not in their future. In the first 14 minutes of this game, still goalless between the team. Talking about a future guarantee on a Benfica. You guys doing the same for masterclass. Looking like 1 goal to 0. In all senses, bright future league by 1 goal to 0 against International. We also have Chile losing to Masterclass. Oh my goodness, on the pass, another infringement spotted by the referee. A foul from Isaac Capita there on the defender of, yes, the Philippines. Whenever you get to watch City, you watch a team that wants to play out from the back. That's what a future very fresh are trying to do. Play out from the back. You know what it goes. Defenders these days, you have to know how to play from the back. Top playing defenders have them in abundance. So let's at the body stadium, opportunity future going to. I can say so. Yes, sir, very fresh. But I can tell you again, masterclass, leading by 1 goal to the against Chiefs. The already a good player at the other venue. 3 games going down simultaneously. Right there, the final day of the season, the Rising Star Football League, a project put together. This is Fine Kana, who's the project coordinator. He's wonderfully well. Yes, sir, for the beautiful project. Alright, yes, thank you very much. Here I go, let's at the Barrow Stadium. 15-minute play.
All right, welcome back from that video break where it's a scouting talent. You've seen fantastic young men displaying their football skills. And when you talk of football talents or sporting talents, they are everywhere in Nigeria. We are so blessed with it. We just had to identify them, give them the opportunity, expose them, get facilities, and we can excel and do well whenever we go outside the countries for sporting event. All right, we'll be leaving La Liga and we'll go to the Italian Serie A. Yes, Como, a newly promoted team. They just it was a good one for them yesterday against Ademola Luxman. That is a Super Eagles striker, a Super Eagles winger. Ademola Luxman team in Italy, Atlanta Bergamo. They lost at home at the G-West Stadium to Como. After almost 2 decades, this is their first win, almost 2 decades in the Italian Serie A. That game ended 3-2 in favor of Como. That is Fabregas getting his first win in the Italian Serie A after being promoted to the league. Like I said, it was a historic moment for Como in the Italian Serie A after that win at the G-West Stadium in Italy. And for Ademola Lookman, he got on the score sheet, but his goal wasn't enough for Atlanta to get something out of that game. And then 3-2 to the away team. So for Cesc Fabregas, I think he's going to be on cloud 9 as we speak for getting that first win and against a big team. I have Abba Michael joining up on the show this morning. Abba Michael, yes, it was a good one team for Cesc Fabregas against Ademola Lookman's Atlanta. 3-2, it ended in an interesting game.
Yeah, kudos to Cesc Fabregas. He used to be my favorite Arsenal player for many years. As a matter of fact, he's my second Arsenal's best player ever after Thierry Henry. I don't need to go on my Arsenal history. However, now that he's into coaching, I saw him as a cerebral player in his playing days, and I'm glad that just like Zinedine Zidane, he's beginning to apply the same technical know-how in the field of management, football management, coaching, and of course, he's doing very well. Nevertheless, Atalanta is still a team to beat. Atalanta still have all the weapons. I think they just had a bad day. Como, led by Fabregas. I know Fabregas himself is a man of magic, and so it didn't come as a surprise. But this is not a time to look down on Atalanta. They're still the team to beat. They still have everything intact. I think this was they just had a bad day in the office.
Okay, they had a bad day in the office. For Como, they are one of the oldest club in Italy. If we look at their history, and under Cesc Fabregas, how far do you think Cesc Fabregas can take this team this season from what we have seen them play in few matches since the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I mean, he has what it takes to do Leicester. You know, we remember 10 years ago, Leicester came into the league and took everybody by storm. Such a fairy tale, we don't see it happen all the time. But if there is one man who has that magic to bring that to fruition, I think it's Cesc Fabregas. That's one team Nigerians should also be looking out for their matches. Let's not only focus on Atalanta, maybe UV, Inter, AC Milan, or Napoli. Como is there, and it's an opportunity to spark the drive of football fans and viewers in Nigeria that there is this team that they need to watch out for. Perhaps this big win against one of the top teams in the Italian Serie A should ignite the desire for Nigerians fans to at least pay attention to this team and see what Cesc Fabregas will bring to the table.
Okay, and see what Fabregas will bring to the table. 3-2 it ended, and it was a disappointment for Ademola Lookman in that game. All right, there were also cup games in Italy yesterday outside that fixture, though that game would have been played on Monday, but because of the heavy rain, the flood that happened in Atlanta, that game was postponed to Tuesday. So that was why we had that game being played yesterday. So there were cup games also in Italy yesterday, and we have the result on the screen. Lecce lost to Sassuolo, and Cagliari pipped Cremonese 1-0, and Torino lost to Empoli 2-1 in those cup games. We know that Atalanta got to the final of the Coppa Italia last season, but they didn't win. They lost that Coppa Italia, but they went ahead to win the Europa League. All right, let's leave Italy and come back home. I know some fans right now are on cloud 9, and a lot of them are saying yes, they are back. They are back with good wins. I'm talking about the Blue Boys from the blue side of London. Yes, it was 5-0 hammering of Barrow in that particular game, the English League Cup third round result. And we saw Man City struggled against Watford 2-1, and Warsaw and Leicester City played a goalless draw, but Leicester City went ahead to win 3-0 on penalties, and Wycombe Wanderers lost 2-1 to Aston Villa. John Duran scores again in this particular game. But we're looking at Chelsea's game. Michael, you just have to we just have to look at Chelsea. I think they started getting their rhythm under under Maresca, their new coach, and it was a 5-0 hammering of Barrow at Stamford Bridge. Nkunku getting good goals, hat-trick in that game. Go ahead.
We can't take Chelsea for granted. Nkunku has been on the score sheet since the beginning of this season. He has shown that he might be that guy to take Chelsea to the promised land. They've scored 8 goals in 2 consecutive matches in all competitions. I think Chelsea are beginning to get it right. Maresca seems to be re-navigating and mediating this team in the right direction. He seems to be good at putting the pieces together. Chelsea is showing, after all, they are still in the top 5, unlike the type of season they had last season. But this season, they are showing that they can grind out wins, and we are seeing the team gradually putting wins together. I'm sure Chelsea fans in Nigeria, they have been deaf and dumb, but I can assure you, with this barrage of victories, you will start hearing them making noise left, right, and center. I can assure you that. But football is better when Chelsea is playing very well. So I'm happy for the Chelsea fans.
Okay, happy for Chelsea fans. And for Man City, Pep Guardiola seems to pay less attention to this particular cup, in the English Football League game. Though they had that win, but we saw the body language of Pep Guardiola. Maybe he might just prioritize what he wants this season.
Yes, most of the top coaches, especially coaches who have assurance of having a shot at the Champions League or the English Premier League, hardly prioritize these cup games. I have observed that a long time ago. Even Arsene Wenger was known that was his idiosyncrasy. When it comes to cup games, he features the team B. He doesn't feature team A. And if you want your players to be superlative all season long, it's advisable. Wisdom is profitable to direct. You don't overclock the players with too many match schedule. After all, they just faced Arsenal, and I'm sure all their legs are still fatigued. I'm sure they are still receiving massage from that mauling they received from Arsenal, which they managed to secure a draw at the 99th minute or 98th minute. So those guys should be in the hospital receiving oxygen for a job well done, avoiding embarrassment by Arsenal. So I'm not surprised that Guardiola decided to field a team B.
Okay, all right. Let's lose the League Cup games, and we're going to see a couple of other games in the League Cup. Congratulations to Chelsea, Manchester City, Leicester City, Aston Villa, who got their wins in the third round of those games. All right, let's look at transfer. Just before we go on the show, because we are out of time, we'll start with this. Arsenal targets Juventus striker Dusan Vlahovic. Quickly, one or two about Dusan Vlahovic coming to Arsenal.
Yes, I mean, he has shown that he's dependable, reliable striker. And in the last season for Juventus, he has shown that he is the guy to take away their shame. And Arsenal is lacking a potent striker right now. You put all the strike force together, it's absolutely garbage. Perhaps that's why they are finding it difficult to even get win against Man City. I saw Martinelli firing blanks. So with a striker like Dusan Vlahovic, I believe Arsenal will be complete, because that's the department that is not complete at the moment.
Yes, all right. The last one on the show, Manchester United monitors Newcastle manager Eddie Howe. Let's see if definitely Ten Hag will be shown the exit door at Carrington. But at the end of it, we still have Ten Hag in charge. But this time around, Manchester United is monitoring Eddie Howe's situation in Newcastle. All right, thanks Abba Michael for joining up on the show, and also thanks to Dan Amersi here joining from Imina, and to you, Michael. It's good having you guys on Touristy Sports.
Thank you very much. Until next time.
All right, that is it on the program. I am Emmanuel Fashimi. Thanks for watching.